Andy, let's look back at last weekend. We had a first-team match against Worthing and the Colts played in the Cup. What would your summary be of both his matches?
Well, if we can take them in order, obviously Saturday against Worthing, yet another difficult weekend in respect of fit bodies, able bodies. Certainly one or two prepared to sort of put their body on the line if necessary, which meant that we really were down to 15 fit men, and then the three guys on the bench injured. Dan Thorne was originally in the starting team and pulled up with a groin, which meant that we moved Miles up into the starting line. Miles was due to play the following day, so I wanted to try and rest him, but he's more than happy to step up and obviously scored 2 tries, so that made his day complete. But that aside, it just meant that we had 15 men, and at that moment in the game when you want to bring on fresh legs, we're not able to do that, and the opposition are. But despite that, if we look at our score of 19 points, I think we were just a bit disappointed we didn't score a 4th try, and I was really, really pleased and really proud of the way that they played. I think the last 2 weeks at Shelford the week before, and then at Worthing, we've shown some real grit and sort of hurried the game up when we wanted to. So more of that for the last 2 games from my point of view. Then on Sunday, obviously lots of people here to watch the Colts in the semi-final of the National Colts Cup against really a very strong Bedford outfit. And we've talked before about the composition of that team. And I'm sure when they look back at it, they'll probably feel again a bit disappointed that they let the last 15 minutes really get to them. I think, the first 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Sorry, when clearly Bedford came out the blocks. I'm sure that's what they do week in, week out. They lay a marker down early on, and the opposition usually crumble, and then they just canter in. And it looked like that might happen, particularly when we had two lads in the bin at the same time. Harsh, really. First one particularly, yes, he did tackle the man without the ball, and the referee rightly gave a penalty try. Was it right to put him in the bin with a yellow card? I think so early on in the game, you could have just had a quiet word with him and said, look, I've given a penalty try for what you did, but I could have put you in the bin as well and not go ahead with it. And then I really didn't see what happened with Jack Corn, but obviously during that period they then scored a further 2 tries. But after that, the boys gave a real good account of themselves, and I'm pretty sure that Bedford will actually feel thankful that they did play so well in the first 15 minutes, and thankful that the game wasn't going on longer. I was really pleased with some of the performances. Ben had a big game. I thought Ginger at 12, I've watched him a few times now, and he's coming on, and he's one of the younger lads. He'll still be there next year, and he's really standing out as a player. Obviously, James Monger scored a couple of tries, but his second try actually was down to 2 second rows, using some very, very good hands of Ben, and then Tom Dye just slipping it to him. All he had to do was catch it and canter in. So, some really good skills. But no, I was really pleased. I'm sure they were disappointed at the end, but I did say to them they ought to be proud of what they've done throughout the season.
Definitely.
And proud of what they did on the day. And I'm sure Bedford, I say, will be thankful that they did so well in the first 15 minutes, because after that we gave as good as we got, and it was a fairly even game, honestly.
Yeah, it certainly was. So we need to give a shout out to Ben West and Andy Gale, who've both got picked for their final representative sides.
Yeah, Ben, obviously huge honour for him, and we're all pleased that he's part of us, in that he's now got into the final England counties under 20s, and they've got a game up at Leeds at Headingley against Scotland, I believe, and I just try to rack my brains for the date, but it's early May.
It's the 7th or something.
Yeah, and if at all possible, I might just see if I can get up there for that, and I'm sure a few other people would like to do that, because that's really good for Ben. He's got another year in that age group, so it just shows you what he's the strides he's made this year. He goes about it fairly quietly. He's quite modest with it, although the boys give him a really hard time, which is great because that's what rugby players are all about. Not letting him get away with it. But I'm sure deep down they're all actually very proud that he's part of their squad and he's gone on to do such good things. And then Andy Gale, as I mentioned just a few minutes ago, and Miles, I suppose, because Miles was in the Hampshire under-20s team that played on Sunday. That's why Andy didn't play for us on Saturday. And they beat Leicestershire and went through to the county under-20s final, which will be played at Twickenham. And they were playing against Gloucestershire. So we've got 2 players who are going to be playing at Twickenham later on this season. So again, that's a great honour for them that they're managing to go and play on obviously the big stage, and we're glad that they've been part of us. And I'd like to think that whatever's been happening here, they've developed as players to a point that it's meant that they can put in good performances for their counties and help them towards a final place. So yeah, we're pleased that 3 of our group are continuing beyond the end of the season and playing at a high level. So that's good.
Yeah, that's great news. So we are going down to Canterbury on Saturday. Have we had miraculous recoveries from injury, or are we still struggling?
Yeah, there's a couple just sort of struggling back. Fids was running a little bit on Tuesday. Him and Martin and myself, Ali Widder, Will Clark, and Chris Rowland actually all took part in an Easter rugby camp during the week. And I was working with Fids with our group, and he just can't help himself, so he was having a little trundle and obviously outpacing all the 12-year-olds, which he obviously felt
That's
was fitness enough to have a little jog on Tuesday. There was no reaction overnight, and so he's quite keen to have some part. I think it would be a bit much for us to expect him to play a whole game. Same thing with Luke Sawyer. So we've got sort of 2 guys that can play tight head there. And then Tom Sanders is recovered from his knee. Obviously played on Sunday for the Colts, and again he's feeling okay. Ali's nose will take time, but he's again more than happy to help where he can. And then waiting, hopefully Jack Corn, who's one of the Colts, we could like to get him involved with a bit of a game. And then everybody else, Ben West is back obviously, Andy Cannock's back from his business trip. Price is playing his last game on Saturday because he's going off to Australia.
Good luck, Pricey.
Trying to improve his rugby education, but I'm sure there'll be more to it than just playing rugby. And he's not back until sort of October time. But if he comes back as fit and lean and raring to go as Fids did last year, then I'll take that. Andy Gale's back with us, of course. Oscar's available again. And the only slight downer is that JJ and Miles are not available. But I've got Josh Bartlett registered, who didn't play for the Colts on Sunday. He's been travelling, and so obviously Matt sort of looked at the overall composition of his squad and made a difficult decision to leave Josh out. But he trained with us on Tuesday, and I'm sure he'd be quite nervous, but it'd be good to get him involved. Tommy Martin hopefully will get involved in the last game of the season. Unfortunately, he works on Saturdays. So yeah, I'm looking hopefully 20 players. There's lots of chat going on, various discussion groups about how many points Canterbury are going to put on us, despite the fact that we've obviously beaten them already this season. Other people mentioned the fact that Newbury can't raise more than 15 players at the moment, and looking at that as a reason why we might not perform very well. But we're going down there. We've got nothing to lose now, and and yet we could dent their chances of staying up this season. So it could be a tough old game.
Okay, I'm sure we'll give it a good go. Thanks, Andy.